Stephen for the Redneck Garage. Well, today I'm going to try to button up, to finish, to complete the rear end, the adjustable A-arms, all the suspension components that are in the rear, get everything buttoned up on that. So then we'll be ready to go ahead and start installing the gas tank, fuel lines, things like that, moving closer to seeing if this thing will start. Now what I ran into is that Rough Country assumes that you're going to reuse the old bolts, which usually you can without any issues. However, on this Jeep, everything's metric, and some of the bolts were rusted up and I couldn't reuse them, so I had to make a quick stop. Because Jeep has such crappy fasteners, I had to go down here to my buddies at Wholesale Fasteners and see if they had a couple metric bolts to fit the arms, and he had a couple, and he wanted a key made, so I swapped him out a key for some bolts. Awesome. So I tell you, that's a little bit frustrating when you're trying to get everything back together and you're missing one bolt, one size bolt, or one nut. Anyway, I got those picked up from my buddies down at Wholesale Fasteners, and we're going to be installing the rest of it on there, and we will be finished with the rear end. And that's what my new little bracket came out looking like. Looks good. Stick that thing on there. It's going to be a beautiful day out today, about 71 degrees. I'm picking up my new scanner. I got my caps and my bolts all painted up after we evaporated them yesterday, so that's super cool. I looked all over last night and I found the parts that we needed to complete the rear end. I've got the brackets and the bushings for the stabilizer bar that goes on the rear, and we should be able to set that pinion angle and set in our top arms, and that will complete the back end adjustable control arms, everything else on that. Super cool, which gets us closer to being able to put in the gas tank. Alright, here's my new programmer, the MaxiSys Pro from Autel, and we're going to open it up and take a look at it. It's heavy, I can tell you. Woo-wee! Here's a new scanner. We're going to be doing a review on it, but there's the interface for the wireless. It's got all the adapters in it. This is one bad mamma jamma as far as capabilities. You can flash ECMs, you can change settings in the different body control modules, stuff like that. So I'm real happy with it. We're going to be using it. Hopefully I can get my money out of it by making a little bit on the locksmith side. Alright, we're moving right along. I got the stabilizer put on this side. I've got the angle set. I've got the angle set on the driveline like I want it. Got the drive shaft connected to the pinion with the bolts we cleaned up. So I got just a little bit more to do and then we're done with the rear end. Alright, so we're done with the rear end. How cool is that? I'm very happy about that. Got the shocks on, the upper arms, got everything lined up. It's centered under the frame. I was happy about that. And let me give you a couple final thoughts on putting on these adjustable arms in the rear. For the most part, the rear end parts went on fairly well. I had everything on and then actually had to go back in and readjust everything because I didn't quite get to grasp the concept of what was going on. First of all, when you're putting the arms on, the larger ones on the bottom, that's what gives you your distance from the front to the back, how far your differential is further back. So really you can kind of eyeball that. The main thing is to make sure that the arms are equal in length, that your right and your left are completely exactly centered. Of course, it can be adjusted at the alignment shop later if it's off just a hair, but that was one main thing that I think I had one off and the axle was actually crooked. The second part is the top arms really aren't for distance at all. They're just made for the pinion angle. So you can kind of eyeball that, take an angle gauge and check your pinion angle going across the top, and adjusting those top arms, really that's all that's going to do. The rest of everything else was easy. I cussed a lot about the Jeep fasteners because they use metric threads and some of them were all rusted up and I had to get different threads. So anyway, I was happy with that. Now we can go on with the gas tank, and I've been struggling with that with one part on it, which is a critical part. So let's take a look at that. Here's the finished gas tank, and this quick connector is giving me a fit, and I'm trying to make sure I get it on there right, and it should just click in there, but it's not wanting to do that, so I'm struggling with it. There's the new rubber bushing that came with it, and here's the old one. And they're pretty similar in size as far as like width depth goes. So I don't know, I'm going to fool with this a little bit. Once I get this on, you know, basically I can go ahead and put my gas tank back up in it. Because we got the new fuel pump and everything put on it. But this thing's driving me insane. Alright, I got it on. Hopefully it won't leak. We'll find out. But I put a new O-ring on it and put the old piece of plastic in it. and we'll see if this thing leaks or not. I went ahead and got my new skid plate. This one's actually new, and it's a factory one. I wasn't going to go with any of the aftermarket ones. This, as Jerry said, since it's a mall crawler, who needs like a real heavy duty one? But it's still a pretty good substantial piece of metal. I'm going to scrub it down with a scrubby and some paint, soap, get it cleaned off and get it ready to paint. Alright, I got my filler neck all hooked up. There's the ground strap. I got to hook it up when I get it in. But because this was so rusted out, I went ahead and got new straps. Had to get new straps for it and a new skid plate. Everything was just rusted out. Completely gone. Couldn't reuse it. Just a big piece of crap. So there you go. Now I got to route my wiring from the front of the truck to the back. Hopefully that won't take long. I can connect up the transmission and everything else. That's going to be next. I'm not going to mix up a bunch of bed liner just to paint this stupid tank. So I went to Schmotto Zone and got some of this. And I got my Mix Quick, which is on my product page. If you go there, you can buy one of these. These things are awesome. But shake it up good and then we're going to spray it on real quick. Well, that looks like crap, but it'll protect it, so whatever. Alright, so that's going to be the end of that video. As far as the rear end, it's all done. I got all the parts, pieces on it. It looks great. Working on the gas tank. I'm going to route that wiring on. We got a couple other videos coming up. Decided to help Tim, my neighbor, with his O2 sensors on his Toyota Camry. And there's a show type that Jerry, my friend, says, and it's not a fun show. So I'm going to have a couple videos on that. And my buddy Devin, that's going to be coming up. He's got a 1986, I believe, 85 or 86 CJ7, and we're going to be doing some work on the carburetor, trying to get it to run well. It's not running at all right now, and we're going to do some diagnostics on the fuel system on that, which is a real common problem on the CJs. Got a lot of new stuff coming up, and it'd be nice to get my Jeep finished too. So we're going to keep working on it. I'm David from the Redneck Garage. Keep turning wrenches.